Hello guys, the Market Watch Grinder here, back at it again with another video, and this time I'm going to be talking post-Phantom Nightmare cards, and let's hop right in. So the first one is Cosmic. This card's seen more play because it can hit stuff like Fire King Island, that's mandatory, pop their field. It can hit stuff like Anti-Spell, Summon Limit, but it can also hit a bunch of rogue decks. It can also hit the Flame Burge targets, so if they try to Flame Burge summon out IP, you can Cosmic the IP to stop it. Next one, we have Solemn Strike. Some people are trying to side deck this card instead of like Floodgates. So this is a card that's seen more and more play. And then next one, we have Solemn Scolding. This is also something that's starting to see play. Just because this is like a mixture between Judgment and Strike, and the deck doesn't really set that many cards, or a lot of decks don't set that many cards currently. Very bad to draw this card in multiples though, but you can also send one off like a Diabolister. And then next card is Doolittle Chimera. We saw this card in a match today between Nesh and Lucas Sacco, and the card performed very well. I just wanted to bring this up because it does only have like one actual like rarity for it, hollow rarity. I don't think the card would go up that much, but maybe something you want to pick up sooner than later if you want a hollow version of it. Something I need to test with more. Next things, these are like the steal spells, something like Mind Control and Econ. These two cards are seeing a tiny bit more play post Phantom Nightmare. People are trying them out. They're not the worst. They're very interesting. Being able to steal the opponent's stuff. You know, you might get hit with like Kieran, and you know, Kieran could like destroy what you're trying to take. Also, like if they summon out IP in like standby phase, then you know IP is something that can, you know, somewhat beat these cards. So, you know, these cards aren't like auto wins, but you know, something to think about. Next is Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes. So this was originally just being played in the pure Snake Eye list, but we've seen a lot of Fire King Snake Eye players now have this in their deck list. So, you know, this is being played in multiple of the best decks. And, you know, well, one of, in, you know, the two best decks right now. But one thing about this card is it is an Ultra out of Age of Overlord, which was a set that was opened a bunch. So maybe it won't go up that much. Next card is Selene. This is the max rarity version of it. All the other versions are relatively cheap, so you can still get a copy for like $1, and you only need one of it in your deck if you decide to play it. I just wanted to bring this card up because it's kind of interesting to me that this card's like, you know, sub $20 just because how much play it's about to get right now. And then next, we have Sky Striker cards. Just a couple. First one is Widow Anchor, because some people were playing this in the pure Snake Eye list, where they play like 1 Widow Anchor, 2 Engage, and 3 Shark Cannon and a Hornet Drones. And then they might also be playing Thrust in the main deck that can also search Engage. So instead of playing hand traps, you can play like a bunch of board breaker type cards, and these can also act as like traps going first, because you can like Link Kribo Tribute your body. You have Snake Eye Birch that can get rid of your stuff. You can make SP, which can remove itself. So just stuff like that. So, you know, Widow Anchor, Engage, Shark Cannon, specifically the secret rare version of Shark Cannon, Hornet Drones too, but I didn't include that one on here just because that card's like very cheap, and I think it would stay pretty cheap. Then on to the next thing I want to talk about is D-Fissure. This is going to be played in other decks, not the fire decks, but it will be played in other decks, people that are trying to counter the fire decks. You might see D-Fissure because this can also stop stuff like hand traps, like Valor and Droll. So while stopping hand traps, it can also be a floodgate. So this is something that we might see more and more in stuff like Flu and stuff like that, just because they can get hurt very bad by stuff like Valor and Droll, while this doesn't hurt them at all. Then next is DDG. You can side this in when you go first, and if you activate this card, there's no counter to it. People are not going to be crossed out in your DDG. I almost guarantee it, unless you're playing Labyrinth, then maybe, even then probably not. But this is something that you can flip, and you can like, it's not going to skip the turn, but it's going to stop them from doing a whole lot compared to what they would do if they were not under this card. And then the last card I want to talk about is Snake Eye Poplar, and this card right now, it's still in the pre-sale because it hasn't actually came out yet. It doesn't come out till Friday. So it is a pre-sale item. Currently, it's sitting at about, you know, $80. So I've talked to some of my buddies about this who are vendors, and they all believe that this card will go down in price once it like officially comes out, and a lot of sets are being opened of this. Like, people are going to keep opening the set more and more and more. It's also an ultra rare, They up the amount of ultra rares in the boxes too, so that is also something to think about. And with all that being said, that's it for the Market Watch Grinder. If you want to see another one of these, I'll make one in the future. And the DB Grinder signing off. Peace. Have a nice day. Stay safe.